welcome to Inside the Birds Postgame Live, presented by MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles are winners on Monday night, 21-17 over the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. It was billed as a Super Bowl rematch. If that's the case, the Eagles win, but maybe they made a statement tonight that's more than just about a win. I'm Geoff Mosher, and of course, I'm joined by my Inside the Birds co-host, Adam Caplan, and as we have been with all season long, former Eagles tight end, Clay Harbor. What a game, what a comeback by the Eagles, who looked dormant for most of the first half. Now, it's just a regular season game. Nobody gets a trophy for winning this one, and the Chiefs season isn't over. But I want to start with you, Clay, because I talk about the idea of making a statement. This is something Adam and I talked about in the podcast on Friday when we previewed the game. If the Eagles were to have lost this game and sort of fall into 0-3, would it be three times? Yes, in the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts era. And then they were to meet again in the Super Bowl this year. I feel like when you're 0-3 against a team and you have to play them again in the Super Bowl and you lost to them, there's that feeling of, we can't beat this team. Maybe tonight that just changed a little bit because they looked down, they came back. And if they are to play in the Super Bowl again, Clay, as a player, does winning tonight mean something for that game as far as having the confidence to be able to do it?
Absolutely. I think it means something. It's like that mental block. You know, you're playing your dad, your older brother in basketball. You just don't think you can beat him. No matter what, you can get close, but you just can't win. Then finally you beat him. The next thing you know, you can beat him, you can play with him. It's a mental thing. Now the Eagles know they can play with anyone. This is the team that beat them in the Super Bowl. That one team they couldn't beat, your former coach, Patrick Mahomes, and you go to their house in a tough day, the rain, the wind, the elements, and you come out with a win. That's huge for their mental capacity, just knowing they can beat them. So now you have a little bit of a swagger. You have a confidence about you when you go and you play them again. If this is a preview of the Super Bowl, which right now it looks like it probably will be, or at least might be. I mean, there's a good chance that this could happen. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL record-wise, and I don't think you can doubt that. Chiefs the best team in the AFC. So 100%, Geoff, this is a huge win for them. Just building that confidence in themselves that they can play with and beat anyone.
Yeah, Adam, we talk about when the Eagles win, sometimes they can be very demoralizing, right? Because they can beat you in multiple ways. And we were texting each other after the first half. Even with the Eagles down, it felt like both teams were playing the same game. They were both running the ball well, both rushing the passer a little bit. The Chiefs had obviously ran a little bit better and made more plays. But you talk about resilience, right? The Eagles come out in the second half, and they basically force 4 punts and then get the huge turnover, forcing the fumble on Travis Kelce. But everything that they didn't do well in the first half defensively, that sort of turned around. And again, I get it. The Chiefs drop passes, we'll talk about it. They certainly could have won this game. But we keep saying, well, Dallas could have won the game. They had first and goal at the 5, and maybe if MVS catches. But the Eagles' resilience always seems to pay off.
It does. I mean, it's really remarkable. And I'll admit it, and y'all out there could raise your hand when they were down 17-7 at halftime and 3 offsides. It looked bleak. Okay, let's call it like it is. It looked bleak. We get the weather was bad for both teams, and it was sloppy. Both teams played to the weather, so they tried to run the ball, and that's all they could really do. It was hard to throw the football. But they hang in there. They're so mentally tough. That's the thing about this football team is just when you think they can't do it, they do it. I mean, they get beat, and then Roby punches the ball out. Then they have that beautiful angle route with Swift, and he runs a great route, and it takes that little flare downfield. You need some big plays, and they did that. The execution was much better. They got bailed out by some questionable calls, to say the least. But hey, it's all part of football. It all sort of balances out, and they found a way to win. Look, they were outgained, they were out first down. There are a lot of metrics that you look at, you go, wait a minute, how the hell did they win this game? Because they're mentally tough. Because that's why they closed well and they found a way to win.
I'm not sure that there's a more mentally tough team in the NFL. I think the record shows it. They're now 9-1, and Adam, a big sort of byproduct of this victory is not only do they exercise their Chiefs demons, right? But we keep talking about getting into this part of the schedule. You got tough teams coming up. You got to maintain your lead if you can, as much as you can in the standings. Well, the Lions won on Sunday, right? So they improved to 8-2. Eagles go to 9-1. They keep that one game. I feel like is so pivotal. It's like a cushion that every time they win, it just benefits them even more.
Yeah, and by the way, the Eagles' schedule is much harder, but over the next 4 games. But I would tell you, see, for the people who thought the Lions had a cake schedule, nobody knew that the Vikings would turn their season around like they have. Mm-hmm. So that game that we thought were cake for them, they're not. And we'll see what happens with the Lions. They've never had any success before because they've never had success. So now,
true.
You know, and this team, the Eagles, handle success. And by the way, this is the most unbelievable stat. Jeff, you had given the number about how in one of our shows last week, the Chiefs are the best home record in the National Football League since 2013 when Andy became their head coach. Mm-hmm. Well, the best road record in the National Football League is now held by Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, 18-5. I still can't believe it. It's 18-5 since the beginning of the 21 season. That is just remarkable for a new head coach, folks. That's just, it shows you how the players buy in. I think that's important, Clay. What does buy-in mean to you, Clay, when you've been with a bunch of teams before? You know, kind of explain for our viewers and listeners what that means.
It kind of reminds me of, you know, when I went from the Jacksonville Jaguars to the New England Patriots. I always remember that scene in Shawshank Redemption when he crawls through the tunnel and he's finally free, and his perspective of just where he's been, and you're locked in this place. Then finally you just have this perspective change. And obviously the Patriots have had their issues this year, but the Patriots of the past, when I got there, it was just this culture thing where you knew that everybody believed in what the coaches were doing. They believed in the coach. They believed in their quarterback. When you believe in your quarterback fully and know he's going to put you in the position to win every single game, give you everything he has, that just trickles down to the whole team. Obviously, our quarterback was Tom Brady there, and it was during the Deflategate, but everybody believed in Tom Brady, in the quarterback position. Obviously, the coaches, that trickled down to the whole team. And everybody felt like that. And then looking back at the Jaguars, we're talking about the Lions. The Lions should have lost this week to a Bears team. The Bears culture is, we're not going to win this game. The Lions culture right now is, we're going to overcome and win. That's the Eagles culture. It's a feeling, and it comes to light in the way they play and the plays down the stretch. I can't put my finger on it. It's not something that you can statistically prove. But when you have a team that believes they're a winning team, that believes they're a good team, that believes they're going to find a way to win the game, they pull these games out. And that's who the Eagles are. I mean, look at these games they've just won against teams that are combined 21-6. You got the Dolphins. Obviously, you got the Chiefs. You got the Cowboys. 21. These are tough teams that they're beating, good teams that they're beating, but the Eagles believe no matter what happens in the game, we're going to come out with a victory, and that's why they're 9-1.
You know what? I remember Bill Belichick infamously telling Doug Peterson before Super Bowl 52, hey, you know, we were trying to look for tape of you guys when you were behind to see how you guys react. And then Bill said, well, I couldn't find any because that's how 2017 went for the Eagles. But, you know, any coach, it's going to be more infuriating if the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, no matter who they play, because the opposing coach is going to find times where the Eagles were up in one, down in one, tight games, neck and neck in one. They're going to say this team can win pretty much in any kind of element, any kind of style of game, as they've shown for 2 years now. And 9-1, man, you've got to be feeling really, really confident. So we're going to break down the offense, defense, get to some special teams and injuries before we get out of here. I want to remind everybody, we got Thanksgiving coming up. So let me just give you all some advice. Skip the arguments with Uncle Dave on Thanksgiving, or whoever your uncle is that likes to get into that argument with you. Focus on what really matters. Good food, boosted odds, and hitting those Turkey Day parlays. Picture this, not just watching games, but turning every second into a potential win. Well, with MyBookie, you can stream the games and live bet them and turn any game into a payday. Are you ready to up your game? Sign up today and make your first deposit with promo code THEBIRDS, one word, THEBIRDS, for a sweet deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code THEBIRDS to claim your bonus. And it's not just a promo code, it's a secret weapon to get the extra edge on the house. And the best part is you don't have to be a sports whiz to win at MyBookie. You can cash in on everything from politics to your favorite shows and then some. Bet anything, anytime, and anywhere only with MyBookie. All right, so let's talk about this Eagles offense because I'm gonna throw out a statement here, a true-false statement, okay? And you guys say true or false. I'll start with you, Clay. If the Eagles had MVS, right, and they didn't have Devontae Smith, let's say the Chiefs had Devontae Smith and the Eagles had MVS. If that were the case, the Chiefs win this game going away. True or false?
True. Sorry, I mean,
100%.
simple as that. I mean, you saw the play. At Devontae Smith, you can't tell me is not going to make that play. A.J. Brown is going to make that play. Those guys are making that play. But Howie Roseman, the way he worked this team, this cap, Jalen Hurts is on a big contract, okay? Jalen Hurts isn't on a rookie deal. So you can't complain to me and say, well, you know, this guy's on a rookie. We don't have enough. Our quarterback's not on a rookie deal either. This guy's getting $250 million, and you still got Devontae Smith. You still got A.J. Brown. We drafted Devontae Smith. We drafted better. They don't have that receiver. The Eagles do. Of course, they win the game without him, but that's part of the team. And obviously, people are going to say Patrick Mahomes needs help. He does. It wasn't on Patrick Mahomes. He's putting the ball in these guys' hands, but that's what he's got to play with. And you got competitors like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, guys who are going out in the rain. He's a hate playing in the rain. Catching balls, like that is the difference. It's not all the quarterback. It's also what he's got surrounding him.
Absolutely. And, you know, Devontae Smith, you know, he was Adam, as you know, I picked him to be my player of the game. I submitted that. And by the way, great job by Jason Avant today, along with Adam and Greg Cosell in the Inside the Birds pregame live in my absence. Jason did a phenomenal job. I was able to catch a little bit of it. But I got my picks in there, and I did pick the Eagles to win, just like you, Adam. And I picked Devontae Smith as the player of the game. So I kind of got this feeling the Chiefs' defense has been really good this year. And, Adam, I felt that they were going to do whatever they could to, I felt that they were going to try to pressure Jalen Hurts in different ways. They did that. And, B, I thought that was going to disrupt the timing between Hurts and A.J. Brown. You saw that. In fact, A.J. Brown, I don't know. Clay, I'm going to ask you about it in a second, about that almost pass to A.J. Brown that got picked off. But in general – Devontae Smith, I think we talked about this in the pod, Adam, that if A.J. Brown was not going to have a good day and they were going to focus it, it would have to be a Devontae Smith game. And it wasn't the bomb was great. That obviously was important, but he made a bunch of big catches all game.
He did. He did. He laid it out there on the line in a big way. He was great. Swift was great. I mean, what could you say? I mean, a lot of things worked really well in the second half that were not working in the first half. Look, their bubble screen's a joke. They never seem to hit them, but they did it in other ways. But the bottom line is, looking at their offense, we'll get to defense a little bit later, but their offense, when they had to, they made some plays. It was one of those nights, the over-under was 45.5. You know, I said on TV today, I thought the game probably would go under. I wish I could have. I didn't change my score on our pregame show because it was already in, but part of it was the rain, and I didn't quite realize how disappointing the Chiefs' offense has been. It's kind of hard to believe their record is as good as it is when you look at their inability to move the football. They're not a good. Certain quarters are terrible. They put it up on the broadcast tonight on ESPN about their quarter by quarter score. Some were really bad. This is not what you expect, but look. It's also hard to win in Kansas City. The Chiefs gave them a chance. They took advantage. Bottom line is, as you said, Jeff, they're so mentally tough. It was not a pretty game. They probably look back and they know have a lot of corrections, particularly their offensive line. But the bottom line is they found a way to win in a game where I'll admit it, man. I raised my hand. I'm like, they're not winning this game. I thought they were dead in the water. Yeah. Took advantage of some of the opportunities and they closed it. What a great job by the defense to close.
Yeah, I mean, they were clearly having trouble moving the ball in the first half. They were having trouble picking up on some of the exotic nickel blitzes that Steve Spagnuolo was drawing up. There was some like I mentioned, they were out of sync with Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown, which we'll get to in a second. But something happened in the third quarter, Clay, that shocked the hell out of me. And I want your opinion on this. And if you would have told me at halftime that the Eagles were going to go ahead in the third quarter, I wouldn't have been surprised. If you would have told me at halftime the Eagles were going to go ahead in the third quarter on a Jalen Hurts keeper touchdown up the middle, I would have said, no, that's not happening. Because throughout the first half, it seemed like the Chiefs were not only keyed on it, but I thought they were baiting him into third down runs up the middle by playing both of their tackles sort of like in not wide, but maybe like three technique spots. And then he would run up the middle. They would loop somebody around and stop him maybe like, 2 or 3 yards into the run. I thought that they were baiting him into the run, tackling him. I never would have thought he would score a touchdown that way.
No, I mean, I was going back and forth with people on Twitter about this. I actually like the call. Everybody's giving them. I screen grabbed the formation. I screen grabbed. There is no second level defender. And yes, you got Chris Jones in the middle there, but you're getting him blocked with Jason Kelce. It's a one-on-one. The play is a one-on-one block with Chris Jones on Jason Kelce. I'll pull up and I'll show it on the Inside the Birds Twitter account. But I love the call. If you get past him, Hurts might have hit his head on the goalpost. They are giving that to you, and Kelce comes back and they make the block and they score on it. I like the call. Obviously, if you're just looking at this play, it's 3rd and 7, and you are going to run a look at there's 5 linemen and nobody else there. If you pick up these defensive linemen, these 5 down, which typically Kelce makes that block, I wouldn't trust many centers one-on-one against, obviously Chris Jones, best in the game, hands down. But Kelce, I would. I didn't mind the call. Obviously, the Chiefs got the better of them. That gave them confidence to do it again, and the Eagles came back and got the better of them there. And then I wanted to touch on that play you were talking about earlier with A.J. Brown on that interception when he threw his hand up because he beat him so bad off the line of scrimmage, right? Okay, here's the deal there. If there's not a blitz, you run it. You got to beat touchdown, fly, Eagles, fly. They're blitzing AJ. Love AJ. Right. He's so smart. He's letting the guy get up on the interception so he can rip the ball out. Like, he's a player that is just so smart and aware of everything in the game. He sees it, he takes it. But with a blitz, you got to be cognizant that he's not going to have time to see you. Jalen's throwing it to a spot. He's throwing to a spot. He's getting blitz. He throws it to the right spot. If AJ runs a route, that's a catch. If it's not a blitz, you run him. Jalen's going to see you. He's going to have time. He probably hits a touchdown or at least a big gain right there. So they were just not on the right page because it was a blitz. Jalen didn't have the time to see him. So you have to run the route unless it's all picked up.
So ideally, he flattens that route at that moment, right?
Oh, yeah, he flattens it inside the defender, and that's one of those bang plays. A.J. Brown makes a big body catch against the defender coming in, gets hit, but he picks up the first down.
Right. Yeah. And knowing A.J. Brown, he actually, shakes the guy and probably winds up getting close to a touchdown anyway. If not one, that's his game. Back to your original point, which I think is super important for what we do here at Inside the Birds. Adam and I talk about this all the time, like the education of the game. The one thing people tend to do is always judge a play call by its results, not its concept, right? If you were to judge Jalen Hurts' keepers on results, you would say, why are you keeping you're getting stopped? But as you were pointing out, with no second level defenders there, if you just get it blocked up the right way, and then they did at the most important time, then it's actually a good play call. And by the way, I have a feeling, and you can speak to this, because everybody wants to blame the play caller all the time and the offensive staff. But on a lot of these, it's Jalen Hurts, I think, making the call based on the defensive alignment that he sees. So again, judging the play concept more than the result, I think, comes into play here. And that was a really smart idea for him to keep it on that play in the third quarter because he had it easily.
Obviously, for our viewers at home, I don't know if you guys can see this.
Beautiful. I love that.
I mean, guys, look at this play. This is a 5 down front. There is nobody behind the defensive line. And you look at the play, it's blitzed like the Red Sea, but Chris Jones, being the disruptor that he is, makes a play on Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce, I'm not saying he's going to move Chris Jones, but he's usually going to hold his own. That for one of those freakish plays that Kelce got beat, you see Kelce throw his hands up on his head. If you watch the full play, Kelce knows he was the block right there. He knew it. If I pick up this block, this is a big play. And Kelce makes that. We've seen him do it for 12 years. Kelce makes that play. When I was playing with Kelce back in the Stone Age, when we were watching actual tape player. Kelsey's making that same block. I'll take that play. I don't get when you go in the film room, they're not going to say, yeah, this plays out because Kelsey's not worth a crap.
Right.
No, they're going to run it again because most of the time it's going to be successful. And you saw that in the touchdown. They ran it again, and it worked.
And just to finish off the offense, another example of how close these teams are, and this game could have been. The Eagles get those 2 touchdown drives in the second half. Every other drive for them was a 3-and-out. I think it was 4 other or 3. There was 3 other drives that were 3-and-outs, and then a five play drive. So that was minus 10 yards, and then they punt. So kind of, it's just one of those games for both teams where they were either going to have a nice long march down the field and score a touchdown, or they were going to punt or have a turnover. Very, very similar there.
Let me add a couple of things before we go to defense. Let me add like 3 things here quickly. So number one, they have to recognize the blitz better. In my notes here, there were a minimum of 2. They're called cat blitzes, corner cat blitzes, where McDuffie creeped. It's called a creep blitz or a cat blitz. And he creeped, and Hurts never sees him. This is the kind of stuff that happened to Hurts in his first year. In 21, he was great against it last year. They tried it. McDuffie sneaks up there. He's got to see him. They gave up a sack on one of them, and then another one he just got rid of it.
Yeah, he got it back on that fumble.
Yeah, got to do better.
Well, Lane's got to pick that up. If you look at it, that's Lane Johnson, and I don't blame Jalen because
one of them is on Jalen though. He's got.
I think the first one was because Gainwell actually did pick up McDuffie, and Jalen was just holding it, looking, and then eventually got
But you're right.
No, on the second one, Lane picked it up, right? Oh no, Lane should have picked it up.
Lane should have picked it up,
and
I don't blame him for trusting that one. You know, Kelsey, Lane, they got this picked up. Myers are downfield. That's something where I don't blame him on that. But like you said, Adam, the second one, absolutely.
Oh, and how about this one? Now, I love it. Remember, Jeff, we said during the week, we thought they would, and we talked to John D. Flip about this on for Patreon. You're always going to bring out something new coming out of a bye. You run your same scheme. That doesn't change, but you might have some plays that you haven't run since training camp. I loved they stacked Swift to I think it's the left. Again, I'm going from my mind. I'm just looking at my notes here. They stacked him. And that's when they run they run the end around to him, and that was a beautifully designed play. I absolutely love that. That's something they've not shown before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I loved they got on the Swift play. They got Mike Edwards on an alert. They saw him. He was lined up there. They were going right after him. Edwards can't run that well. He's a safety. I mean, he's good. He used to be a starter for the Bucs, but that was just a great throw. What an awesome throw by Hurts. When they needed it, I know it was not a clean game for him, but when you're mentally tough, you just hang in there. And that was an unbelievable throw and a great catch by Smith. He laid out and got it. I mean, it's just a great play. So it was good to see them pick it up in the second half. Lots of corrections. And by the way, Clay, so let's say this is a Sunday game, right? Would you be in with your position coaches Monday? How would that work after the day after the game?
If it's a Sunday game or a Monday game, you're saying like a Monday night.
Let's say it's a Monday night game. Would you be in there Tuesday morning to go over the corrections, or what? When do you get the corrections?
Yeah, Tuesday morning you're going to have to go in and get the corrections because obviously Wednesday you're back to your work week. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Monday night game is always tough because you got to go home. It's a late night. You got to go to sleep, and you actually got to come in on Tuesday, which usually you're off day because of Monday. Either Monday or Tuesday, teams do it differently. Monday sometimes is an off day, but typically you come in on Monday, Tuesday's off day, you're back on Wednesday. So now they're going to have to come in on Tuesday. You don't get the off day, but I'm sure, obviously, knowing Sirianni, he knows he's got veterans players. Maybe he does a shells practice where they kind of lay off and it's more of a mental day, moving forward to the next week of work. But they're going to be right at this film tomorrow, and you're going to be watching the tape. You're going to get your lift in, get the blood flowing, get the body moving, so you're ready for the week of work starting up on Wednesdays. You're back to your normal work week.
Absolutely. All right. And real quick, as we finish off offense, because we didn't mention Dallas Goedert, how would the Eagles compensate for not having their Pro Bowl tight end? Well, what we saw was a mix of 12 personnel until Calcaterra went out. We saw Julio Jones more. We saw Olamide Zaccheaus in there. I mean, we saw two running backs a couple of times. 20. So we saw 21 personnel. We saw 11 personnel. We saw some 10. We saw some 12. Obviously, there was, as Nick Sirianni said, it's not going to be one replace. There's no next man up when you're trying to replace Dallas Goedert. There's schemes and there's next men up, and they did a lot of different things. And once again, just like last year when they went, I think 5-0 without Dallas Goedert, they win another big game without him. So that's pretty much it on offense. We'll get to defense in a second. Wanted to remind everybody that it is winter now. It gets dark early out. We don't have time. The 24 hours, it doesn't even feel like there's 24 hours in a day anymore. That's we're running around so much and it gets dark and I got to get kids back and forth. That's why I love HelloFresh. Adam loves HelloFresh. Clay loves HelloFresh. They deliver farm fresh food with pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to our doorstep. No more wasting time at the grocery store because America's #1 meal kit helps make home cooking easy, efficient, and affordable. We don't have to waste time with new recipes and planning out our meals. With HelloFresh, the shopping is already done. The perfect amount of ingredients arrive with step-by-step recipe cards. How efficient is that? All right. Plus, HelloFresh saves you time and money. HelloFresh is 25% less expensive than takeout, so you get a home-cooked meal without digging deep into your wallet. And don't forget about taste and selection. HelloFresh makes food for meat lovers, seafood lovers, vegetarians, and for those who love variety. Now, my personal favorite, I've told you guys, is the spicy Creole stew. I'm going to try some chicken and some steak meals coming up soon. And just go to HelloFresh.com/50Eagles. Use the promo code 50Eagles for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/50Eagles. Use that promo code 50Eagles for 50% off plus free shipping. Act now for America's #1 meal kit. All right, to the defense, the Eagles defense, which did not look good, first of all. Clay, I'll start with you. Do you think they were not prepared for a Kansas City outside rushing attack and were taken by surprise, or do you think Kansas City was just taking it to them?
They were just playing physical. Coming out, they have a great offensive line, and I hadn't seen the Eagles D line get owned like that. And I don't want to say owned because it wasn't like they're running power and duo and these straightforward plays to where they're just pushing the Eagles defensive line back. They're hooking them in that Andy Reid style. He knows who he's playing against. The one thing Andy always knows is, who am I going against? How can we beat these guys? They're not running the powers, the duo, the straight downhill plays. I mean, you're seeing them. They're using some of this penetration against themselves, against the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we saw some of these holes open up. And Joe Tooney, some of these guys were excellent game. But I think in the end, you look and you see what Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat were able to do down the stretch. I was really impressed by the Eagles D-line. But coming out 123-4 yards in the first half, and you're giving up 66 a game, say, what's going on here? You forget how to stop the run. That's one thing that you never question watching this Eagles defense is, can they stop the run? It's always been the backfield, slot defender. What's up with the cornerbacks, Slay and Bradbury. But today in that first half, they got after him in the run game a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Now, that obviously changed in the second half. They were better. And Adam, the spotlight in this game was really on Bradley Roby. Was he going to come back? Was he going to play the slot full time? And again, it seemed like he was out there. I don't know if he was 100% slot, because we did see Sidney Brown out there, saw Eli Ricks out there. We'll have to wait to see what the All-22 shows us. But obviously, that was the turning point of the game. If you're named a player of the game, not named Devontae Smith, it was Roby who punched the ball away from Travis Kelce, right? That's the play of the game right there.
Yeah, look, he would have given up a touchdown had MVS caught the ball on the post route. But bottom line is, he played tonight. They needed him. They're going to face. They got Stephon Diggs, by the way, who will line up everywhere for the Bills. That's who they play on Sunday in Philly, 4:15. So, or whatever, 4:25. But the bottom line is, they survived. They learned a lot. The run defense is horrific in the first half, as you said, Jeff. Boy, the run defense wasn't great in the second half, but it was good enough. It was adequate. It was fine. They stopped giving up what are called explosive runs. Explosives are called 5 yards or more by coaches, and they limited those in the second half. That was really huge because it put them on third down in Kansas City. And boy, Kelce had an awful game. Terrible drop, fumble. Great job by Roby punching it out. And you now the other thing though that we need to mention is how terrible the Eagles coverage was on special teams until late in the game where it was better. But overall, terrible against Tony. That was embarrassing. In fact, they give a big play to the Cowboys. So here we go again. Coverage teams got to do a better job.
Yeah, much better on return, right? Because return Covey had a couple of good ones,
yes,
and then there was. I will say at the end of the game, Josh Jobe
was a great
really big hit.
Yep.
I mean, they at least got when it mattered.
It mattered, right?
They came through.
Hey, by the way, the story of the game, real quick. The story of the game when it mattered, it seemed like again everything was going against them. They couldn't do anything right. The bad offside penalties as we get the defense here.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, Jeff, I just want to say that everything that had to come together. That's the thing about this team. Right when you think it's bleak, okay, they can't do anything right. They're down by 10. Nothing. It's bad weather. They're just maybe they'll pack it in. No, they don't. They don't.
No, it's really incredible, their resilience. I really enjoyed, by the way, you mentioned Travis Kelce, and he seemed to be out of it a little bit. And I really enjoyed watching Hassan Reddick and him kind of going at it. And Reddick, at some point, Clay was like just challenging him, like telling him to bring it on. He knew he could. Listen, Travis Kelce, we know is not a blocker. All right, we know that. Okay, but at the same time, Hassan Reddick's not the biggest guy in the world. It's not that he's tough to block. He's tough to get his hands on because he's so fast. But I thought today, I look forward to watching all 22. I think he played physical, Clay. I think he did. You put your hands on him, he was still going to, chop down on it, and he was really coming at him. He was getting held a lot.
Jeff, I spotlighted him did a couple screen grabs just watching the game. When I see something that really stands out, I have to share it with the fans, say, this is an exceptional play. And twice in the run game, we're so used to seeing Hassan Reddick rush the passer, how he's just able to win with speed. But in the run game, he's setting the edge. He's making big plays. And this guy is just continually improved. I remember watching at the beginning of the season. I go, what happened to Hassan Reddick from last year? I think he's even better than he was last year. Watching this game, I'm thankful I'm retired. Watching Hassan Reddick just tear up these tight ends and offensive tackles. I go, I'm glad I'm sitting here in my chair in my condo downtown Chicago watching the game, not out there trying to block this guy. He's physical. He's fast. He's got shake, and he's really turned into a really good run defender, as well as obviously all the pass rushing that he does.
Right.
And Josh Sweat too. Obviously, Josh Sweat, to me, early in the game, obviously you have the offsides penalties. He has a couple of loafs in that big play when Fletcher could have pushed Mahomes out of bounds. You look at that play, and I'll highlight it on Inside the Tape with Greg, and you see Josh Sweat. He's jogging because he thinks the play's over. Oh, this guy's sprinting. That's a sack. They might both. I go, Josh, what do you do? Just sprint. That's what D linemen do, especially Philadelphia Eagle D linemen. They play to the whistle. But he came back and he finished strong. So all's well that ends well. And those two guys just really showed up in the run game and the pass game.
All right, Clay, two strategical questions for you before we finish off on defense here. And one of them is from a former tight end like yourself's viewpoint. The touchdown that Travis Kelce caught that put them up 14-7 in the second quarter, all right? It looked to me like Byard had him, like it was man, but because of the route that he ran and with the pick, that Slay probably should have switched off and taken him, and Byard should have stayed on the inside. Instead, they wind up, and we've seen this from the Eagles, like countless times. It's like, when are they going to get this right? It just seemed like two guys were covering one, and another guy gets left open again. Am I correct in saying Slay, the veteran, should have known to switch off, or is that Byard's man and he's got to fight through?
They need to have that conversation. And from watching tape, you've got to know. I don't even watch the Chiefs games that much, but I know it's a play they run. We've all seen Andy Reid run that play before. You got to have a plan going into the game. If you've never seen that play before, and Andy Reid comes up with this pick play for the first time in history that he's run it, okay, you're fine. But Andy Reid runs this play a lot. You have a plan for that. Either you're going to fight over the top or you're going to switch that. In my opinion, in that play, you say, hey, if they run this play, we're switching. And you just make that. You're a veteran guy. You got to know, and you got to verbalize that to make sure you're both on the same page, and that shouldn't happen. This is a common play they run, and now obviously a lot of teams run in the league. For them to have that much trouble on this basic play, and obviously you do see it around the league, you can't have it. And obviously there was some grumbling about, is that a pick? Is that pass interference? But The end's justifying. That means you got to be able to switch that off and make that play.
All right, good stuff. That's what I thought. And then the unfortunate part about, you could say, oh man, that stuff happens. But for the Eagles, it's like, are you really going to have that happen to you every single game? Are you really not going to have a switch off go correct in the biggest moment of, or not the biggest moment, but an important moment in a red zone, deep red zone there? You're just going to not switch off. And Slay's a veteran. He's got to know that. Both of those guys are veterans, so it's crazy. But I do want to ask you.
But come on, you got to have that plan.
You do. But I do wonder if there was a plan from Kevin Byard, though, on the possession before, where he intercepts Patrick Mahomes in the end zone on a ball that was supposed to go to Justin Watson, who had caught the first touchdown of the game. Did Byard bait Patrick Mahomes into that throw?
I don't think that was a bait, man. I think Byard was – I was actually a little surprised that Mahomes didn't just put that more on a line. And he kind of floated it up there, and Byard ran underneath it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's not the quarterback you bait. He's not the guy like, I'm going to bait Patrick Mahomes right here, and he's going to throw this ball and pick it. You can bait there's a lot of bad quarterbacks out there that a guy like Kevin Byard, with all his 28 interceptions now, can bait. But I don't think that was a bait play. I think that was just Patrick Mahomes just left it up there. Obviously watched the tape, but he left it up there a little long, and Byard made a play, and the guy can break on the ball. We know his history. This guy's a ball hawk. He had 4 picks last year with Tennessee. He's still playing high-level football, and once he gets really comfortable with his defense, he will have more interceptions this year because he's able to read that and go get the ball.
Yeah, that was his specialty. Listen, guys, like I think we would all agree Patrick Mahomes is a pretty fun player to watch. It's America still loves him. He hasn't become a villain yet, like most great ones, like Aaron Rodgers and Brady. I feel like America watched this game and feels bad for Patrick Mahomes, even though he's got 2 Super Bowls. I mean, when you see him work so hard to put the ball in the hands of 3 or 4 different guys, and even on 3rd and 20 or 4th and 25, and Justin Watson, it would have been tough, but it was in his hands. I feel like you look at Patrick Mahomes and say, man, you deserve better than that. Even though you already have two Super Bowls, that's just not right.
Drops will kill you, man. Drops, offside penalties, sacks. They're just, both teams had a lot of mental errors, particularly the Chiefs receivers with the drops. Justin Watson from the University of Pennsylvania, by the way, he led them in targets with 11. Boy, who saw that coming? You got to give the Eagles credit. They did a good job with Kelsey. That's
an Andy Reid coming off the bye week special. I guarantee you that was.
But they did a great job on Kelsey. As much as the Eagles are not good against the tight end, they did a really good job. Really hung in there against Kelsey.
Absolutely true.
Third most touchdown passes to opposing tight ends. They're giving up a 130 rating to opposing tight ends, and to come in and be able to handle Travis Kelsey the way they did is very impressive. And obviously some people say, yeah, dude, it's a torrential downpour. It's a little windy. It's cold. It's wet. I don't care. You throw that out the window. This is probably the best tight end of all time, receiving tight end of all time, in my opinion. And to do that job that they did on him today, very impressive.
All right, we're going to wrap this thing up. We're just one more loose end to cover here before we get out of here. I want everybody know to check out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. Let's also pause to hear a word from our great friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people all over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schulter, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
All right, if you go into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam just sent you. You will get a great deal. All right, one last observation I want to make before we wrap this up. But I do want to say, the Eagles have a short turnaround. They're playing the Bills on Sunday, so that's another huge game. Bills score a lot of points. And this Sunday, Inside the Birds is hosting pregame live from Fringe Bar. We're back at Fringe Bar, baby, 140 North Columbus Boulevard in Old City, Philadelphia. It's an awesome bar restaurant with a one-of-a-kind 250-seat theater and a 50-foot big screen. It's an incredible place to catch all Eagles games. Well, maybe not Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, but pretty much every other Eagles game. All right. There's no better way to boo the Bills, all right, than doing it at Fringe Bar. They got a great soulful menu. We've been there. We've been eating there. Kenny, the head chef, the owner, does an amazing job of combining his travels and his family history into what he makes, including lemon pepper wings. I know Jason Avant loves the lemon pepper wings, a burger with smoked cheese sauce and crispy onions, fried cheese curds. I love that more. That's my favorite. I love cheese curds. During Inside the Birds tapings, Fringe Bar features half-price wings, $8 Blue Coat drink specials, and an Eagles-themed cocktail. It's Fringe Bar. It's your new favorite game day hangout, so come support Inside the Birds and Fringe Bar. All right. I saw something today as we finish the show.
Oh, by the way, what time do we know what time the show is going to be on Sunday?
The show on Sunday will, that's like last time we did it at Fringe Bar, they like to do it, I believe, 2 hours before kickoff.
Okay.
So is that a 4:25 on Sunday?
Yeah, it is a 4:25 game. We'll
probably like either 1 or 2 o'clock.
We'll get that straight now for you on our next show. All good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Good point to bring that up. So I saw something today I've never seen before. I wanted to see if you guys noticed it too. Right before the half, as the Chiefs are about to clock the ball, spike the ball to set up the field goal unit, Jalen Carter does a headfirst dive and tries to intercept the spike. Hey, Harper, have you ever seen that in your entire life?
My entire career of football, playing, watching.
Pop Warner, backyard football, ever seen someone try to intercept a spike?
Never, and he was pretty close. His hands were there. Off his hands. Maybe he comes up with a catch. I mean, I like the ingenuity there. You're coming up with some ideas and maybe get a turnover. I liked it, Jalen Carter. I liked it.
I really wanted to bring my laptop out, pop out, and write like a 200-word column on the most amazing thing that almost could have happened but didn't happen. He was close at him. You saw that. I mean, he's got long arms.
I know. But look, here's the thing. Let's move on. So the bottom line is that I give this team so much credit. And by the way, this is a road game at the stadium where nobody could seem to win the big games, and just to find a way to win where it just looks so bleak. They just. Do you guys think they had the energy? I felt like they were defeating themselves mentally. They were making a lot of mistakes mentally, offsides and formations. It's just bad.
Yeah. Well, I think that part of that, I'll leave it with you, Clay, at the end. Part of that was, the element of surprise. I think both Spags and Andy did some things that they hadn't seen on tape. And then you're at Arrowhead, it's loud, it's raining, so you got a lot of elements. And I do think that set them off slowly. I thought once you talk about their ability to hang in there, right? They did get some defensive turnarounds. Once they were able to force that fumble from Travis Kelce, that was huge, because I believe if Travis Kelce scores there, the game is over. And it might have even been an avalanche effect. If they go up, what would that have been? They were up if they go up 21-7 or maybe even 24-7.
Yeah, it was 17-7. 17-7.
Yeah, then to me the game's over. Clay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy to see the flow of the game, how the first half. I mean, I'm with Adam. I'm with you guys. I'm thinking, well, this might end up being ugly. This might be a bloodbath, and the Chiefs come out and just take control of the game the way the Eagles are playing. But they come back, and it's just, I don't know what happened in that second half. How they were just able to turn that around to start stopping the run, to stop with the stupid mistakes. But that's what the Eagles have been able to do all year. They go in at halftime, they make adjustments, they come back, and they win the second half. And you're hearing a lot, Eagles only team since 2000 that are 8-1 without winning a game by over 14 points. I don't care. They're winning games. Yeah. People in the national media still talking about the Eagles aren't that good because they're not blowing teams out. This team knows how to find a way to win. And to me, that's better down the road than a team that's just blowing everybody out, because they've been in these games week in and week out, and now they have confidence. They have the aura about them that they are going to win. They believe no matter what. Nobody got discouraged or down 10 points to Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead, a game you can't throw the ball. You come back, you make big plays, you force turnovers, and you make the plays when they count. Devontae Smith, and they come away with a win. To me, that shows even more than a team that comes out there and wins every game by 20 points.
Great stuff. Well said. Great way to finish it up. We'll have more this week as we find out the status of Grant Calcaterra and Milton Williams, both who left with injuries. we'll see the results of them, and we'll talk about that on Inside the Birds. And of course, Clay will be back with Greg Cosell this week on Inside the Tape. Look forward to it all. It's going to be a great week. Want to thank everybody for watching Inside the Birds post-game live. For Adam Caplan and Clay Harbor, I'm Geoff Mosher. Everybody have a great one.